Hi, I'm Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. This is the Oakley Podcast, Trucking Business and Family. And as always, I appreciate you guys listening to us every week. We try to come out with some great content for you on a weekly basis. It drops every Wednesday with new material. And I tell you what, we are so glad to get our new listeners. I was looking, and we've got over 23,000 subscribers, which is fantastic. And for you new listeners, that just found us, I encourage you to go back and listen to a lot of the past episodes that we've done, because we just cover so much stuff here that it's worth. I go back and listen to some of them, and I'm like, man, I forgot all about that one. That's pretty good stuff. I need to listen to it again, actually. So I encourage you to go back and listen to some previous episodes that we've done in the past, and of course the future ones too. We appreciate everybody doing that, and subscribe on YouTube. If you haven't found us on YouTube, be sure and check us out. Just search for the Oakley Podcast on YouTube and subscribe and comment. Let us know what you think, what you'd like to hear. And I tell you what, one of my next guests is with me. I can't thank them enough, because they were one of the very first ones when we started this crazy idea of a podcast. They were on board and helped me get it started and get it rolling, and that's ATBS, the tax service, with Jeff Amon and Michael Snyder. Those guys have been with Oakley for a long time, and they helped me get it going, and that's who's joining me today, and we're going to talk tax service and ATBS.
A used semi-truck is a great way to kick off your career as an owner-operator on a budget, and buying from a reputable dealer like Aero Truck Sales ensures you're getting a reliable truck that fits your needs. They carry trucks from all the major manufacturers in the trucking industry and perform a thorough inspection of every truck on their lot to ensure safety and quality, and give you confidence that you're getting a reliable truck that will last you for years at a price that you can afford. Being a longtime partner with Oakley Trucking and the Oakley Podcast, we trust them to provide our owner-operators with a truck that fits their needs and matches our qualifications. So whether you're a first-time owner-operator or just looking for a new-to-you rig, be sure to give Keith Wilson and Trey Visor a call at 573-216-6047 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast.
How you guys doing today?
Hey man, we're fantastic. We appreciate being on. Like you said, I remember the very first time we did this, it was kind of new to all of us. You guys were kind of the pace setter in social media and podcasting for your fleet, and it was fun to be a part of, and it's been fun to grow with you. So we're excited to do it again.
Well, it's been fun being partners with you guys for a long time. Matter of fact, Jeff, I'd emailed. I waited too long, but I emailed a couple hours ago some people. Tommy, Tommy, and Taryn that's in here. I was trying to go back and see how long we have been doing business together, and it's I still haven't found the actual date we started. I know it's been a long time. I mean, what's it got to be, 15 years maybe?
That's my wild guess was going to be around 15 years, Jeremy. Yeah,
I would think so too.
Right. Yeah.
So been doing
a
a long time. Yeah, it has. It's good stuff. I mean, and of course, you guys know, y'all been on here a few times with me, and I really appreciate it, because the goal of this podcast is to help our owner-operators succeed. And, man, there is nothing more than success when you know you're a profitable company and you're doing good, and that's why we refer a lot of guys to ATBS, because you can tell them that. I mean, you have all these services that you do and all this tax information, and, of course, everybody's scared of the tax man. Scared of the tax man. How do I handle the tax man and still be profitable? But you guys make it simple. I mean, y'all do a good job of helping truck drivers. And I always, when I talk about ATBS, my favorite thing is to tell them is that's all you do is truck drivers, and that to me is the thing to do. I mean, when I have a plumbing problem at the house, I don't call a mechanic. I call a plumber. So I want somebody that's what they do, and you guys do a fantastic job of that. So I had sent you over a list of questions of stuff we can talk about. If you guys want to give us a little brief about ATBS, I mean, I think everybody knows, but tell us a little bit about ATBS, and then we'll get into some of these questions that I sent over to you.
Well, I'll do it. I'll try and make it quick. So I'm Jeff Amon. As Jeremy said, this is Michael Schneider sitting beside me here. I've got two brothers, Jeff, Todd, and Matt, two brothers. The three of us own ATBS. We began our lives in trucking as diesel mechanics when we were 12 years old. So I actually had a 60th birthday a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, I've been doing this for a long, long time. And
Congratulations.
So, thank you. Thank you. So, like I said, we started in trucking. We were 12 years old. We've got diesel in our veins. When we got out of college, we had our own trucking companies. We had a truckload carrier with about 600 trucks. We had an LTL carrier with about 150 trucks. And then we had a brokerage operation and a logistics business. And we ran those for several years. I won't get into a lot of details like I know we have in the past in some of our podcasts, but to suffice it to say, we sold our LTL business in '97, and we sold our truckload and logistics and brokerage operations in January of '98. We started ATBS literally the day we sold our last trucking company, and our sole mission at ATBS is to help owner-operators make as much money as they can possibly make and give as little as possible to the government, right? Nobody wants to pay taxes.
Right.
We don't want you to give us any of it to the government that you don't have to. So that was the mission behind our company. And from a philosophical perspective of how we're going to go to market, at the end of the day, what we do is required by law. If you own your own business, you're required by law to account for that business and to file taxes. So our philosophy was, if we do that better and less expensively than anybody in the country, every owner operation want to be our client. And so to this day, we really don't have a sales department at ATBS. Our business all comes to us via word of mouth, which we're very proud of. We don't go out and aggressively pursue clients. Word of mouth clients come to us. And so we've been doing this. Like I said, we started this in January of '98. So we have been in business. This is our 25th anniversary at ATBS this year. It was just unbelievable to think back because it's gone by in the blink of an eye. But 25 years we've been helping owner operators run their business. And we started, in the course of 25 years, and like I said, word of mouth is how we get our business. We bring on about 1,000 new clients a month to ATBS, which seems unbelievable. We bring on
how many y'all got?
Yeah, so in everything we do, this number is unbelievable to me, but everything we do, we work with around 80,000 owner-operators in the United States.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So we bring on about 1,000 new owner-operators a month, and one of the statistics that we're super proud of is, even though we're bringing on so many new clients that just have not had an opportunity to be with us for a long time because they're new clients, our overall average clients have been with ATBS for 4 years. So, I mean, we really don't lose clients unless something life-changing happens. You know, they retire or they decide to get out of trucking or something like that. But in general, we don't lose clients, and we're super proud of that.
Yeah, that's really good. That says a lot right there. When you've got that many, I had no idea it was that many owner-operators, truck drivers that you're dealing with. I mean, that's a testament to what kind of services y'all provide for sure. So, which, I mean, I guess let's get into that if you're ready to talk about that. Of course, we got how long you've been providing tax services for truck drivers, especially owner-operators, and how many clients you have. We covered that. So let's get into the tax stuff. I mean, that's what these owner-operators want to hear is the stuff that's changing, which I'm assuming is changing every year, isn't it?
It does. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, but it always changes.
Well, that's a good point, I guess. Is there good stuff changing for the better for an owner-operator?
So there is always stuff changing, like we just talked about. A couple of things that, we're coming off of those 2 COVID years that we just went through, where things like meals were 100% deductible. This year, we're back to that normal 50%. So not necessarily for the better per se, but some folks need to be aware of is those meal deductions, that per diem deduction they take. That's going back to that old rule, 80% per diem. So for businesses like ATBS and like you guys, Oakley, if you do meals, that's 50%. Those drivers do still get that step up, that higher dollar amount of per diem, which is $69 a day. So that piece I like to point out specifically because, as you mentioned, we do trucking specific. We know those trucking specific laws. Those standard CPA firms, local CPA firms, they know their accounting and their tax, but they're not trucking specific. So they're not going to catch things like that $69 a day for per diem.
We do see that a lot, Michael. You're exactly right. That they'll take the same per diem that Oakley or ATBS does instead of specific per diem that's available for truck drivers. The other thing we see in terms of mistakes or missed opportunities when other tax people are doing tax work for owner operators is that at ATBS we do partial day per diem. Most will just take a whole day per diem. And if you're not gone the whole day, they won't take per diem for you. If you're gone part of the day, we'll do a partial day per diem. We'll do per diem. If you've got a spouse or a rider in the truck, we'll do per diem for that spouse or the rider. All things that are missed by virtually every accountant out there.
Another big one that I like to talk about is that came with Tax Cuts and Jobs Act going all the way back to 2018. And that's when that law came into place. They made used equipment available for depreciation just the same as new equipment. So it used to be back before 2018, you could only buy new equipment, new truck, new trailer, something like that would be fully depreciable, 100%. Now that is available for used vehicles. That's still the case going into 2024 and for 2023. So one thing to look out, another big change that some folks might be surprised by is it's gone for bonus depreciation specifically. It's gone from 100% to 80%. And so that's going to keep going down. They're going to phase that out as they sunset that tax law, that Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, 20% a year. It's going to go down until zero in 2026. So we'll see what Congress does. Like we talked about, they always act and they always do something crazy with the tax law. But that's 80% this year for new and used equipment. So if you have the opportunity and you're talking to your tax accountant or you're talking to ATBS, we'll do all that math for you. There's still 100% depreciation available, but that's under a different part of the depreciation tax code. That's Section 179, not bonus depreciation. So we got to pay a little more attention to that depreciation line this year. Are you using Section 179 like you're supposed to? Do you want to use bonus? Are you using that like you're supposed to? There's a thought process there, a calculation you want to go through this year.
Yeah,
a lot of we customize it, even though we have what we talked about, thousands of clients. Our work is very customized for each individual client. We don't treat the population as a whole. And like Michael said, when somebody joins us as a new client, we ask for their past tax returns, and depreciation is something that we regularly find is somebody else has screwed up when they've gone somewhere else to get their tax work done.
Yeah, so that depreciation, Michael, you're talking about, was that something they just came up with on used equipment recently, and it's going away, or it's not going away?
It was back in 2018 is when it went into effect, so fairly recently. And you're now used and new equipment both qualify for this depreciation. We'll see what happens come 2026 when this goes away. The sunsets, like most tax laws, they're kind of patches or band-aids just for a couple of years, or in this case, several years. But yeah, we'll see what happens with it.
Okay, good.
LubeZone has opened a new location in Statesville, North Carolina. It's located north of Statesville on Highway 77, just west of exit 59. LubeZone services both single trucks and truck fleets, so whether you're driving through or you have a trucking company nearby, LubeZone are the experts to turn to. LubeZone's specialty is full-service oil changes that take approximately 30 to 40 minutes. They also offer tractor-trailer grease, gearbox service, generator service, reefer service, and DOT inspections. They also go the extra mile when it comes to quality control. What does that mean? That means your semi-truck is checked not just once, but twice to ensure all service and parts are good to go. LubeZone does this so you can rest easy knowing that your truck is in top condition. No other service center knows semi-trucks better than LubeZone. Check out lubezone.com for all their locations, and when you go in there, tell them you heard it on the Oakley podcast.
Talk about some record keeping. You know, to me, this is one of the things that truck drivers have a biggest challenge with is the paperwork you need, the records you need. I'm sure you're constantly calling them and telling them, hey, can you send me this? Can you send me that? What would you tell the guy the best way for you to get all the information you need so you can make the best decisions for them, as far as saving them the most money?
Boy, that's a fantastic question because, if you were to say, we could tell you, we know all kinds of, the little secrets of tax deductions we can take that most people don't know about for truck drivers. But if you were to ask what is the single biggest thing somebody can do to minimize their tax burden, that is to capture every conceivable expense that has something to do with their business. So that, as you said, Jeremy, keeping track, organizing, and having your paperwork and receipts in order is critical. Now, again, our philosophy growing up in trucking, and goes for just about every business out there, nobody starts a business because they've got a dream of doing their own bookkeeping and accounting and tax work, right? That is the necessary evil that goes along with owning a business. And we know that. There's not a truck driver on the planet that decided he wanted to become an owner operator because he had a dream to do bookkeeping and accounting. So our philosophy is we don't want them to touch their paperwork. We think if they're dealing with paperwork, it means bad things. It means they're driving all day and dealing with paper at night, or instead of driving, they're dealing with paperwork, not generating the revenue that they could be generating, or they're out on the road for a week or 2 or 3 weeks at a time. They come home, and instead of quality time off with family and friends, they or spouse are having to deal with all that paperwork. So when we built our business, it was designed for us to do all of that work for them. And so that has changed over the years what that looks like. But when it comes to paperwork, we're the entire back office. We don't expect our clients to be tax experts. If they go to any other account, the account's going to tell them, you need to figure out what's deductible and what's not deductible. You need to categorize it all. You need to total it all. And then you need to hand us those totals so we can put it in a spreadsheet and give you back your tax return. We don't do it that way. We give them a list of everything that's tax deductible for owner operators, but then we tell them, don't only pay attention to this list. If you have anything that you think might have something to do with your business, send it to us and let us figure it out. We don't expect you to be a tax expert. Send us everything. And so how do they send it to us? We can take it any way they want to give it to us. If what 95+% of our clients do, we have an ATBS app. And they simply, on their smartphone, they open the app. They say they came out of a truck stop or out of Walmart or somewhere. They open that app. They take a picture of that receipt, and that's 100% of their bookkeeping responsibility. Once they open the app and take a picture, they're done with it. At that point, we've got it digitally. They never have to worry about it again. We've got it forever. And so that's how they get their paperwork to us. Now, some guys, the only reason they have a smartphone is because they can't buy a flip phone anymore. They hate technology.
Right.
For the guys that hate technology, we'll send a mailing envelope so they can mail us those receipts. Some really sophisticated guys have computers and scanners and stuff in their truck. They can scan it and email it to us. We can take it any way they want to give it to us. But again, we don't ask for them to organize it. If they mail it to us, it's going to be wadded up little balls of receipts. However they want to give it to us. Yeah, it doesn't matter what year. It can be 2 years ago. It can be last month. It can be today. We just tell them, send us anything that has something to do with your business. Open that app, take a picture. We've got it. And so, like I said, they go to Walmart. Spouse could buy a bunch of stuff for the house, and maybe some of the stuff she bought for the truck can be used in the truck, Windex for the windshield or Armor or something.
Right.
They take a picture of that 2-foot-long Walmart receipt, and we go through and figure out what's deductible and what's not deductible in that receipt. And by the way, we'll say, tell us the miles your spouse drove in the car to go buy that stuff, because we can write off those personal miles in your personal vehicle. So those are the kinds of things. And then we just tell them, give us everything. So they're sending us that stuff on a real-time basis every single day, or it's up to them. They want to give it to us once a week, once a month. Some will give us a box full of stuff at the end of the year. We like it, as you mentioned specifically, Jeremy, we like it as quickly as we can get it. And the reason we do is because the faster we get it, the quicker we can give it back to them in a format where it's giving them feedback on how their business is doing. So
Right. That's what I was going to talk about, because our guys, we send you their settlements every week.
That's exactly what I was going to say next. And this is a huge benefit of the relationship between Oakley and ATBS. We have a data interchange where if there's an owner-operator that's running for you and he's one of our clients, you give us, every week, you give us through data interchange, you'll give us their settlement statement electronically. So they don't have to worry about anything, revenue or expense, that's on their settlement statement, because we're getting it automatically. And that's going to cover probably 80%, 85% of what's going on in their business. And then all they have to worry about is that other 15 or 20%, which is minimal. They worry about that, take the pictures or mail it to us, get it to us however often they possibly can. We love daily. And then we take all that information and we create a profit and loss statement for them every single month. And so the one thing I think that's also different from with us versus other accounts is they go anywhere else, they categorize total stuff and give it to their accountant. When they're giving us their receipts, we don't just take what they give us. We look for what they forgot to give us. We look for things that are missing, expenses that they didn't give us. And we reach out and we say, you know what? We don't think your truck is getting 18 miles to the gallon. We're missing some fuel. Let's find it so we can write it off.
Yeah.
We don't think your maintenance is 3 cents a mile. We think you've got a lot more maintenance expense. Let's go find it so we can write it off. Or, we know you've got this going on in your family with your wife or with your kids or et cetera, et cetera. We know all these things going on in your world. These are things we can be writing off. Give us that stuff so we can write it off. And, a statistic I think is absolutely shocking, but it's the same every single year since we started this business. For 91% of our clients, when we do their tax return, for 91% of our clients, we find stuff they forgot to send us. We reach out, we have them find it, give it to us, and we take additional deductions because of that. So we don't just depend on them to give us their stuff. We look for things they forgot to give us. And then, as you said, Jeremy, we build that profit and loss statement every single week. So they can see how their business is performing every single week. And then once a month, when the month is over, we close out an entire month and produce a profit and loss statement for that whole month. And I'm just going to say one more while we're on the topic. You didn't really ask the question, but you did. You talked about the importance of paperwork and managing paperwork and how to deal with it. And so, like I said, our philosophy is the driver shouldn't have to worry about it. That's our job to manage that back office and deal with that paperwork. But the byproduct of that, we're the only company in the world that can do this. Every month when we do their profit and loss statement, we benchmark them against other drivers doing the exact same kind of work that they're doing. And we put green dots where they're doing good. We put red dots where other drivers are doing better, where they need to make changes. So every month when they get their profit and loss statement, even if they don't want to read into the detail of profit and loss statement, all you got to look at is our benchmarks. Green dot, hey, in this area, I'm doing great. Maybe I'm doing great in fuel and maybe in maintenance, or maybe I've got bad insurance. I'm paying too much for physical damage insurance or something. They'll get flagged, and with a red dot, they'll call their business consultant at ATBS and we'll say, hey, here's what you need to change to be a best practice and making as much money as you can. And, the end result of that is when people benchmark our clients, ATBS owner operators versus owner operators who don't use ATBS, our clients average 40% higher net income than the same owner operator not using us. And I think that benchmarking piece is really wise. So I think you really hit the nail on the head that it seems like a mundane, necessary pain in the butt to have to deal with paperwork. But if you do it for the right reasons, it's a huge advantage for you, because number one, like we talked about, is going to give you the maximum tax expenses to deduct from your taxes. And number two, it gives you the tools you need to manage your business and to make sure you're running it as efficiently as it possibly can.
Oh yeah. I bet you guys see a big savings when truck drivers come from other tax professionals that don't do trucking, and they come to you, and then all of a sudden they're blown away with all these truck tax deductions and laws that other people didn't know about. I can only imagine how that would be.
You're exactly right. It's unbelievable. Mike would probably talk about some of the unique deductions. We talk about a few of them that we do that few, if any, people even know about.
Yeah, we actually have a product specifically designed for that. When folks are coming in, they think their maybe prior year is incorrect. We can review that tax return for them, tell them what the last person missed on their tax return. We see crazy stuff like people messing up depreciation. We already talked about that. Tax preparers not even including per diem at all. No deduction for meals on the road. So there's $14,000-$15,000 if you're just looking at that expense. We've got folks messing up mileage. They'll put mileage on the tractor trailer. It's like that mileage in the tax code is allocated for passenger vehicles like you and I drive, not for tractor trailers. That's a whole different ballgame. There's a whole set of deductions for tractor trailers. So we see all sorts of stuff from home office to guys telling them, your sunglasses and safety equipment aren't deductible. Well, sure, you use it for your business. Your sunglasses are deductible. Your safety vest, your cones, your chains, anything like that is deductible.
But Michael, I've had the same accountant my whole life that has. My family knows them. We go to church with them. They've done it forever. They know taxes now. I mean, that's what you hear, a lot of times.
Absolutely. Yeah, as Michael said, it's so specialized, like home office. I would bet, I bet 0.5% of the owner operators in the country do a home office deduction, and we're able to do that for a ton of our clients. Take a home office deduction.
That's awesome.
Our dog is a great one, I mean, if they've got a dog in the truck, we don't require it to be a German Shepherd or a Rottweiler. If they got a Chihuahua in the truck that can bark, we're going to call an alarm and take a guard dog deduction.
I actually had that written down on my notes to ask about pets, if that was something that could be.
Absolutely. We've got a client that's got a pig in the truck that we take a guard animal deduction for because it makes a racket if somebody bangs on the door or is trying to get in the truck. Yeah. So, I mean, and they can write off food and vet bills and all those things. Yes. But that's the kind of thing, there's no chance that the typical accountant takes those kinds of deductions.
Do most of these owner operators pay quarterly taxes too?
Boy, what a great question. That's a whole other topic. So by law,
I didn't know if they wait till the end of the year and just do it, or if it's better to do quarterly taxes now. I mean, to me, it sounds like it should be, but
there's a lot of nuances to your question, and it's a great question. One of the most important questions in trucking when it comes to managing your business and your tax affairs. Taxes are one of the single biggest reasons guys get in trouble and end up out of business and losing their trucks, losing their business. So by law, as an independent contractor, which owner operators are independent contractor, by law, you are required to pay quarterly estimates. If you choose not to, you pay interest and penalties as a result. But here's the thing, and what the IRS allows, and what almost every accountant on the planet does, is what's called safe harbor estimates. And essentially what safe harbor estimates are is you take what you paid in taxes last year and you divide that by 4. And so once you divide by 4, you've got 4 payments, quarterly payments. Those are what your estimates are this year. So you take last year's tax bill, divide it by 4, and you pay it each quarter this year. We think that's the kiss of death for owner operators, and we despise that accountants do it. But the reason they do is it doesn't cost them 10 cents, right? I mean, they do the quarterly estimates. They pick up a calculator. They said, how much you pay last year? Divided by 4. Okay, here's what you pay 4 times this year. It doesn't cost them 10 cents to give them safe harbor estimates. But we think they're doing them a huge disservice because never, two things. First off, never is last year the same as this year. So if you're paying your taxes this year, based on what you paid in taxes last year, you're either overpaying or underpaying. A lot of times you're underpaying. And then what happens is in April, when taxes are due, you look at what you paid in estimates versus what you owe, and that's when you make up the difference. So if you paid these quarterly estimates based on last year, and then in April, when you reconcile that and find out you owe thousands of dollars in extra taxes, April's the worst time of the year for any of us to come up with money for the IRS. We overextend ourselves during the holidays. First quarter is generally slower than any other quarter. We're lucky to, pay our rent and pay our mortgage, put food on the table for our families. We don't have extra money to give to the IRS in the first quarter. So that's not when you want to find out, thousands of dollars. And that's what happens with the safe harbor method. It's inaccurate. And then here's the second problem with safe harbor. It tells you to pay the exact same amount each quarter. Well, our business in trucking, we're not flat. We don't make the exact same amount each quarter. And so if you have a slow quarter, first quarter slow, and you owe a ton of money in a quarterly estimate, you don't have it, now you don't pay that estimate or you're behind and you're on the run. It's just the beginning of the end of a death spiral for owner operators. So we spend literally millions of dollars on our software. We do our estimated taxes because we're doing your books every month. We know exactly what your business is doing every month. We look at spouse income, everything going on in your world. And we base your estimates this quarter on exactly what happened this quarter. Not what happened last year divided by 4. What happened this quarter. 2 reasons that's super important. First off, because you're paying your taxes each quarter, you're paying your quarterly estimates each quarter on exactly what your business did, your estimates are accurate. So you get to April and it's a few $100s of adjustment, not thousands and thousands of dollars of adjustment. So April's no big deal. Tax time is no big deal. The second thing, though, that I think is even more important is because we're basing your estimates on what your business did each quarter. That matches your cash flow to what you owe in estimates. If you had a slow first quarter, it's okay. You're not going to owe anything in estimates. If you had a great second quarter, you're going to owe a lot in estimates, but it's okay. You had a great quarter. You've got the money to pay a lot in estimates.
Right.
So I think those two things, matching your cash flow to what you owe, makes it super easy to pay your estimates, and it makes April a non-event. It's just super easy.
Yeah, I can see where that would be nice to have it not be a surprise, because that's the way a
Yes.
lot of people live these days with the IRS. Is it's oh man, I don't know, wonder what I'm going to owe in taxes. Well, with you guys, they're going to know if they do
Exactly.
things right. They're going to know, and it's not a big surprise.
Yeah.
You feel a whole lot. Yeah, you make better decisions as a businessman when you know that kind of stuff. You know,
You're exactly right.
Yeah,
Last thing I'll
yeah.
tell you about taxes, because this is somewhat important and not something I really planned to talk about, but since we're talking about other tax people, something that's important is when we do tax returns, every return that leaves our offices is reviewed and signed by one of our CPAs or enrolled agents. The reason that's important is if these guys ever get audited, and I guarantee a truck driver at some point you're going to get audited. It may not be next year, it may not be 5 years from now, but at some point you're going to get audited if you're a trucker, if you're an owner operator. If the person, because our CPAs and enrolled agents are reviewing and signing your returns, if you're audited, we provide full audit support and we can represent you in front of the IRS and we don't lose audits. If you're going to H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, whoever, your cousin or whoever, if you're using somebody else to do your taxes that's not, I mean, those companies are not CPAs and enrolled agents. If they're doing your tax return and you get audited, you're on your own. They're not CPAs and enrolled agents. They can't defend you. You're on your own to defend yourself in front of the IRS, which is a very daunting, awful thing.
That is, yeah, that's good to know right there, because that's. I'm sure there's guys out there that, you know, as soon as they realize they're getting audited, they're scared to death. What have I got to produce for you? Now I can't find this stuff for you.
Exactly.
And if they're dealing with you, they've got it all. You guys have got it all.
And
So,
we represent them. They don't have to represent themselves. We represent them in front of the IRS.
yeah, that makes a big difference right there. So the, you know, some of these independent contractors, I think we actually went over this question last time we talked about, you know, because either staying a sole proprietor or being an LLC. And I know there's, everybody's situation is different. I've been asked that question, I don't know how many times, you know, with the being here at an owner operator company. And I can't tell them. I don't know if they need to see an attorney about that and what they need to do, if they need to see you guys or an accountant or what. But I know there's plus and minuses to everything. There's not just one blanket answer for that, is there, on whether they should be have an LLC or a sole proprietor?
Your questions are fantastic, and this is, as you said, I mean, these guys are getting blasted on the radio, satellite radio, all day, every day. They're hearing about it in truck stops. Incorporate, right? And do it in Delaware, do it wherever. We spend more time if you want. We do entity formations in every state in the country. We do them every day. If a guy should be an LLC or an S corp or something, but I'll talk a little bit in detail about that. But we do form entities. We know a lot about that work. First thing I would say is, if anybody listening is a C corporation, call us and let us dissolve that immediately, because C corporations are awful. There is no reason for any owner operator to be a C corp that I can think of. I can't think of a single time in 25 years we've had one where it made sense. And the reason is there's double taxation. They're paying taxes on the profits of the corporation. Then when they distribute those profits to themselves, they have to pay taxes on them again. So it's a horrible deal. If anybody's a C corporation, call us so we can talk through it. And I think the answer should be to dissolve it. Now, to the more important question, which you asked, Jeremy, is sole proprietor, LLC, S corporation, what makes sense? And that's an awesome question. So the first thing I'll say is, you know, I personally own several businesses. Every one of them is an LLC. I like LLCs because they provide a legal protection like a corporation, as opposed to a sole proprietor where you get sued personally. As an LLC, they're suing the business and not you personally. So I like LLCs from a legal perspective. We're not a law firm, so it's against the law for me to give legal advice. So I'm just saying, personally, my companies are all LLCs. I think it's smart from a legal protection perspective. From a tax perspective, I love LLCs, and we love LLCs. The reason we do is let me go back. Why should I be a sole proprietor? Why should I be an S corporation? And then because I think this feeds into the LLC question. So here's the tax reasons why you might want to be a corporation. As a sole proprietor, and this is I'm gonna give this at the 80,000 foot level. We can get in the weeds. There's a lot of detail. At an 80,000 foot level, this is how it works. If you are a sole proprietor, you're paying self-employment tax on all the profit that your business generates. So every dime of profit, you're paying self-employment tax on. If you're a corporation, an S corporation, what we do is we set you up as an S corp, and then we're going to make you an employee of your corporation. You're going to pay yourself a salary out of your corporation. And at this point, instead of paying self-employment tax on all the profit of the business, because you're an employee of your corporation, now you're only paying what's called FICA tax on the salary that you paid yourself out of the business. So you're not paying self-employment on everything. You're just paying FICA on your salary, and that will save guys. So we start seeing this become effective somewhere around $70,000 to $75,000 of profit, net income in their business. That's when it makes sense to think about filing your taxes as a corporation and saving money. And they can save $4,000 or $5,000 up to $20,000 plus, depending on what their business is doing, just by filing as an S corporation instead of as a sole proprietor. Now, it's more complicated to be an S corporation. You've got to do payroll. If you've got to form your corporation, you've got to do payroll. You've got to file payroll taxes. You've got to stay current with Secretary of State and all of that. So like everything we do at ATBS, if you want to be a corporation, we'll do all that work for you. We'll form your entity if you want us to. We'll do your payroll. We'll file your payroll. We'll do all that work. So this takes us, so we do an analysis for every client every year as we're doing their taxes. We do an analysis of what we can save them if they filed as a corporation. And then we reach out. And say, hey, if you filed as a corporate, we file for you as a corporation instead of a sole proprietor. Here's how much you can save. Do you want to make a switch and file as a corporation going forward? Now,
that's good.
This gets to your question, Jeremy. What is the best entity to be? Sole proprietor, LLC, corporation. The reason we love LLCs is because as an LLC, you got the legal protection of a corporation, but as an LLC, you get to choose whether you want to file your taxes as a sole proprietor or as an S corp. So if you're an LLC and we're going through that process of saying, hey, we can save you $12,000 if we file your taxes as a corporation, do corporate returns, personal returns, all that work. It's going to cost you a little more for us to do all that work, but this is how much we can save you. As an LLC, you can say, yeah, I want to do it. All we do is notify the IRS. From now on, this LLC, we're filing taxes as an S corporation instead of a sole proprietor. So as an LLC, you've got the flexibility to file taxes in the most advantageous way to you, as opposed to being locked in. If you're sole proprietor, you can't file as a corporation. If you're a corporation, you can't file as an LLC, as a sole proprietor. If you're an LLC, you can file whichever way is most advantageous to you.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, that's helps simplify it for me for sure, and hopefully for our listeners, because that's a big question. A lot of people have, and you answered it when you said that you guys evaluate their stuff and then recommend whether here's what you could save if you did do this. So that fantastic.
It's always their choice, but we tell them how much they can save if we do it, and it's up to them whether they want us to do it or not.
Oakley Trucking is a 100% owner-operator company. We specialize in hopper bottom, end dump, and pneumatic trailers. We provide the trailer free of charge, and you provide the truck. We have a large customer base that reaches the whole United States as well as parts of Canada. Our owner-operators live anywhere from Texas to North Carolina to Pennsylvania to Wisconsin and everywhere in between, and we get them home weekends. We take it seriously when you join Oakley Trucking because we need you to be successful. Oakley offers great benefits and competitive mileage pay, so you know that when your wheels are turning, you're generating money no matter if you're loaded or empty. We understand that you want to make a good living and that you make our living. We only take on independent contractors, and to be honest with you, we are very particular on who we lease on. You must have a good driving record, good work history, and clean, dependable truck. So if you're interested in Oakley Trucking or just want some more information, you can go to oakleytrucking.com, listen to our weekly podcast, The Oakley Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. How is this new technology helping you guys communicate with your client? I mean, I know, when we started talking, you had mentioned the app, which I had got on your website and looked at stuff earlier today, and I saw that app on there. It was called something else, wasn't it? I don't remember. The Hub. Yeah, it was called the Hub. ATBS Hub. That's what it was.
ATBS Hub.
I like the name. I like the Hub instead of just the
know,
app. So.
well,
How's that stuff? I mean, you're always got to be trying to make it simpler and easier for everybody with technology, aren't you?
we are, man. Your questions are fantastic, and I didn't even know you knew about the hub. We literally, again, we spent a gazillion dollars. We've had an app for a few years, but we spent a fortune. I won't use swear words, but that's what I think when I think about how much money it costs to do this work. But we spent a fortune and built a new app, if you will, called the ATBS Hub, and it works. It works on the smartphone. It's your app for your smartphone. You can use it through a laptop, iPad, whatever you've got, a tablet. You can use the Hub, and this Hub. The way we designed it and what I love about it is it communicates anything and everything that our client needs to know about their business. And so, we classify our clients in different ways. We've got clients that we call eagles, and the eagle, is somebody that just wants the big picture. Tell me what my revenue looks like, what my expenses look like, how's my contribution margin, my fixed costs, what's the big picture of all that? How's it look? How's it stacking up? How's my business performing? And we've got charts and graphs that deliver that in a really simple, easy, cool to understand way, big picture. And then we've got clients that we call owls, and our owls, man, they want to get in the weeds, and they want to see big picture charts and graphs, and they want to look at the P&L, and they want to drill all the way down to the receipt level on that P&L and understand every single number on that P&L and what made up those numbers on the P&L. So with our new hub, they have the ability to look at these things in any way they want to look at them, whatever is best for each individual. It's super neat. It's super easy. We rolled it out, maybe 3 weeks ago, and I mean, it's just our clients are going crazy over it. Absolutely love it. We've got a lot of guys calling, wanting to sign up because it's information's at their fingertips. For companies like you, Jeremy, where we're getting data downloads on a regular basis, they can watch. I mean, every single week they can see every single day of the week. They can see what's building, what their P&L is looking like, and how their business is performing on a daily and weekly basis. They don't wait until the end of the year to see how much money they made, kind of thing. So it's
almost real time. I mean, you're getting close to real time there. Every day. Time. I mean.
Absolutely it is. The other thing that's really neat is Michael was talking about what a massive deduction per diem is. There's actually a per diem calculator on there where all you have to do every day, they open the hub and there's a calendar. They just tell that calendar if they're full, if they're out, if they're away from home, is it a full day or is it a partial day? And it captures, and then we'll give them a running total of what that deduction looks like for the whole year to date. So. That they've been in the truck. So yeah, there's just I just did a 2-hour presentation on the hub to a group. We could do a whole other podcast on the hub, what it delivers and how it works and right. What a great tool it is. But yeah, you're right. Technology has allowed us to deliver our products in a lot of really neat and unique ways to our clients. But we also talked about the guys, like I said, some of our clients despise technology and would have a flip phone if they could still buy one. And for those guys, I mean, we have guys, we ask them, do you want to do business electronically? Do you want to do business on paper? For guys who want to do business all on paper, they mail us receipts. We'll mail them their P&Ls. We still mail just over 3,000 P&Ls every single month to our clients, the ones that don't want it electronic. We've got a little over 3,000 clients that want everything on paper. We deliver it to them by paper. It can be a combination. They say they want it. We know for us to be successful, we've got to be the path of least resistance for our clients, right? We've got to be the easiest way to do business. So however they want to do business, we're able to do business that way.
Y'all deal a lot with the spouses?
Boy, we do. As long as our client says we can't. So, I mean, that's one of the questions. When we onboard a new client, when somebody signs up for our service, we reach out to them within 24 hours, and they get what we call a business consultant. They've got a business consultant here. So a lot of people look at ATBS and are like, oh my God, you're dealing with tens of thousands of clients. I'm just a number there. That's not how we do it. Every single client has their own personal business consultant here. That business consultant is there from cradle to grave. So that business consultant knows them, their family, everything going on in their world. And one of the first questions when we onboard a new client, one of the first things we ask is, who do you want to have access to your information? And if they grant access to a spouse, we'll talk to that spouse. If they don't want us to talk to a spouse, we won't. But they tell us who we can talk to about what's going on. And then with our business consultants, we're not like accounting and law firms that start and stop clocks every time you talk to them and send you a bill for talking, right?
Right.
Our communication is free. They can call their business consultant, their spouse can call the business consultant anytime to talk about anything. There's no charge for it. And we've got some spouses that'll call us 3 times a week or twice a day to talk about something they want to talk. And it can be business or personal, right? What's going on in the personal life?
Right.
Maybe I need to do a credit card consolidation, or maybe I want to talk about a second mortgage, or what they call anytime, talk about anything. We'll talk to
that's
them.
good.
Anybody
That's good to have that open line of communication for sure.
Absolutely.
That makes them feel better too of what's going on. It's
Yeah.
similar to a dispatcher, at a trucking company that's got
So
a bunch
true.
of guys that dispatch. I mean, it's similar like that. So,
Exactly.
couple other questions before we wind her down. One is, as I'm looking at your website, which I recommend everybody go to the website. I'm assuming it's atbs.com. I forgot. But,
It is.
okay.
Good one.
They need. What is the pit crew? I'm looking on the website and it's showing the pit crew. What's the pit crew?
That's pretty interesting that you saw and noticed that. So, trucking had 2 of the best years in the history of trucking coming off of COVID. And this year has been an unmitigated disaster for trucking. There's a lot of owner operators, and a lot of trucking companies are in panic mode. I was talking to a group of Wall Street analysts that had a massive meeting with a lot of carriers around the country, and the number, it was a confidential conversation, but the numbers they gave me were unbelievable, staggering. They told me that they believe right now 80% of trucking companies in the United States are losing money, 10% are break even, and 10% are profitable. And we see the same thing with owner operators. There was a massive shift in the owner operator population from carriers to spot market when freight was through the roof the last 2 years, and the spot market dried up. Like, it was non-existent this last year. And a lot of those guys are failing or fleeing to try and get back to carriers. So anyway, it's a long-winded intro to your question. What is our tax relief pit crew? So this is our tax resolution team. If any drivers, they can be a company driver, owner operator. If you've got anybody that has tax trouble, tell them to call us. We deal all day, every day, getting people out of trouble with the IRS. We've got so our pit crew team. That's all they deal with is negotiations with the IRS. We can negotiate debt. We've had guys that owe $400,000 that we've negotiated down to less than $30,000 payable over 6 years, interest free. We negotiate all day. We give them on payment plans that they can afford. That is our group that helps guys that have back tax issues. It's not a profit center for us per se. We do it because once somebody has worked out a deal with the IRS requires them to stay current in all their bookkeeping, accounting, and tax work. They use us to do that for them. If they ever decided that they weren't going to file a tax return, all of a sudden all that debt they owe comes back to them. So for us, it's a win-win. We give, so many guys are out there, they got behind, they're afraid to tell anybody, and they're just on the run from the IRS, and the IRS finds them at this carrier, where they quit, they go somewhere else, they're just on the run until they get caught and get in trouble, they end up in jail, right? So we get the monkey off their back, man. If anybody that's got trouble with the IRS, have them call us. And we're not like the ones you hear. Like, my brother-in-law is the head of sales for the largest tax resolution company in the country, and I watch these companies and how they operate. They charge these guys tens of thousands of dollars, and they don't do any work for them. That's probably too brutal of a statement, but that's how it feels. We don't do anything without first telling the client what we think we can accomplish for them and what it'll cost for us to do it. We don't say, give us $5,000 and we'll look at it. We say, here's what we think we can negotiate. Here's what we think the outcome will be. Here's what it'll cost. Do you want us to do it or not? And so, it's just, and like I said, it's not a huge profit center for us. We just do it to bring clients in, get them on the right track, and keep them current with the IRS going forward.
We also have that monitoring product. So we'll get the IRS notices same as the client will. So we tell the IRS, hey, while you're sending that notice to the client, send a copy to us too, and you can buy that product. So even if you're not home, ATBS got the tax notice that's sitting in your kitchen, and we can read that and reply to it while you're out on the road working.
Yeah.
And that comes with, I guess, you have different packages to to suit everybody, whether it's weekly packages or monthly packages or whatever when it comes to pricing, and they can find all that stuff out on the website. I know, but
They do, but some along those lines, it's important. And I looked it up just before I came in, Jeremy, because so the benefit of a relationship like Oakley and ATBS have is that you do send us the settlement information electronically, so it's easier for us to process instead of just waiting. If you didn't do that, we've got guys that at the end of the year they're going to send us a Jack Daniel box with 2,000 receipts in it to sort through. Because we have data interchange, it makes it easier for us to do business. And you also do settlement deduction, which makes it a lot easier for clients to pay. We've got a lot of clients that when they think about switching carriers, they won't go somewhere if they don't do settlement deduction for them because they won't have to deal with the credit card payments and that kind of stuff. So You'll do a settlement deduction to pay for our services, which makes it super easy for the client, easy for us to collect because you send us one check instead of us getting, thousands of checks. We get one check, so it's easy to process, and we get their settlement data electronically, which makes it a lot easier for us to process. So because of those things in our relationship, we give a discount to our Oakley clients, a significant discount. So as you mentioned, we've got several different products based on what an individual might need. The product that 90% of our clients buy from us is what we call the ATBS professional services. In our professional services, I just looked up our weekly price. So our weekly price for professional services is $31.99 a week. Our Oakley price for that service is $24.49 a week. So we give a 23% discount if guys are leased onto Oakley versus just calling us and buying our services. And every dime they pay us is tax deductible. So they're getting a big deduction, the cost of our services. So, that includes, we do a business plan and a budget and all their bookkeeping, their monthly P&Ls, their benchmarking, their quarterly tax estimates, year-end state federal tax returns, unlimited business consulting. All of that is included in that $24.49 a week. It's 2 cups of coffee a week pays for their entire back office and their tax returns at the end of the year. So that's the product that 90% of our clients buy. Like I said, if somebody needs a real specialized service where they need doing payroll taxes and cash flow statements and balance sheets, and they need corporate returns and personal returns and that kind of thing, then there would be some add-on charges. We tell them what those are. But yeah, we give our clients, owner operators that are leased to Oakley, get a huge discount on our services because
we got and saying that about our owner operators, Jeff and Michael, we got a lot of guys, of course, are with you at ATBS that are here at Oakley, and I like what we talked. You touched on a little bit earlier about the benchmark, and I want to make sure our listeners understand what you mean when you say benchmark. When you're comparing them, you have so many. Explain that just a little bit. You have so many companies that you compare them to other owner operators at other companies, and I guess where they rate maybe. How you explain it better than I can.
Yeah, so every month we're doing their P&Ls. We benchmark them against other drivers doing the same kind of work and highlight where they need to make, where they're doing great and where they need to make changes in their business. So their best practices and maximizing their profitability in their business. But the other thing we do is as a company, twice a year, we've got because we have more, the next biggest firm working with truck drivers in the country has less than 1,000 clients. So like I said, we're dealing with tens of thousands. We've got the largest database in the world on what's going on with owner operators in trucking in the United States. And so twice a year, we do a massive study to see how the industry is doing, how every segment of the industry is doing, reefer, flat, dry, tankers, specialized work, what have you, flatbed. Then we look at, we look at how different segments are doing. And then we look at how carriers are performing inside those segments. And the Department of Justice, because of antitrust laws, the Department of Justice won't let me publish a list and say, here's Landstar and JB Hunt and Schneider and Oakley and Quality Carriers and blah, blah, blah. And here's how their drivers do, or here's how the companies do. I can't publish that. But what we do is we give every one of our carriers, partner carriers, every carrier in the country that we work with, maybe 200 carriers, just about every carrier we've got owner operators we work with. We give them a unique random number that only they know. And so they can see how they compare to all the other fleets that are doing any kind of work. They can see how they stack up. And so, I pulled this literally this morning because every time I pull it, man, I just get excited. We love working with Oakley owner operators because it's so fun for us to work with people that are successful, help them be more successful, and help them to minimize what they pay in taxes and those kinds of things. And so, I think these numbers are staggering, and I don't think you'll mind me sharing them. I didn't tell you I was going to share them, but I pulled them out, and I want to share them because, like I said, to me, they're staggering. So I mentioned that when people, it doesn't matter, it's consulting firms like McKinsey, different magazines and publications, different consulting groups, look at trucking, they find that owner-operators that use ATBS average 40% higher net income than owner-operators that don't use ATBS. So that's huge.
That's
average
huge.
Owner-operator out there is probably making less than $50,000 a year. The middle third of owner-operators at ATBS, I looked at what our middle third is. Our middle third of owner-operators make right now, 2023, they're making $86,000 a year. That's a big number, significantly higher, like I said, versus the less than 50 that the average owner-operator is making out there. Now, if you take all of our, that's our middle third, and this is guys that have been with us over a year. If you take all of our clients, which includes, like I said, the guys who have been with us less than a year, our brand new owner-operators, if you include everybody, our average owner-operator is making about $63,000 this year, still way higher than the average owner-operator out there. But these are the numbers that are staggering. And so this is what I'm going to do, Jeremy. I pulled up here's 2020. I went back to the end of the year, 2020. At the end of the year in 2020, our industry average owner-operator at ATBS made $68,000. Our average Oakley owner-operator made $107,000.
Wow.
58% more than our average client, our Oakley clients made. Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
2021, our average owner-operator in the trucking industry made $71,000. Our average Oakley client made $120,000. 70% more than our average client, and our average client's making 40% more than the average owner-operator in the industry. It's unbelievable. 2022, our average, so 2022, man.
Was unbelievable. I mean, it was just
brutal year. Our average owner-operator went from making $71,000 down to $64,000 in 2022. Our average Oakley owner-operator made $118,000. So our average client went from $71,000 down to $64,000. Our Oakley clients went from $120,000 to $118,000. Only went down $2,000. Our average Oakley client in 2022 made 84% more than our overall average client. And like I said, our average client is making 40% more than guys that don't use us. So so this is 2023. Again, a lot of people will say this is the worst year in the history of trucking, just like 2021 maybe was the best year in the history of trucking. A lot of people say this year, 2023, is the worst year in the history of trucking. Our average client this year, right now, looks like they're going to make $63,000 in 2023. Our average Oakley client, $138,000.
Wow.
120% more than the average out there. It's just it's mind-boggling, dude. It's unbelievable. And like I said, we work with owner-operators in every carrier in the country. We work with owner-operators in every facet of the industry. It could be sand and gravel, oil and gas. It can be refrigerated, flat, dry. I mean, just anything you can imagine. We work with owner-operators in every niche, last mile, final mile, every niche in the industry we work with. And you put up numbers. The numbers our Oakley clients put up are staggering compared to what happens to the rest of the industry.
Well, that's so awesome. I didn't know you was going to do that, but that is some great numbers right there just to know. And these guys can compare. I mean, they see for themselves that you make a money by being with ATBS. They make money by being with Oakley. You put us two together. I mean, exactly. How can you fail? How can you fail?
It's a winning combination, brother.
But, a lot of it goes back to Jeff and Michael is that guy sitting in that seat and that guy making decisions and that guy driving right and doing right and working hard and all that. I mean, that's
absolutely.
it goes back to him and that independent contractor and his work ethic and how he gets things done. And we've got a bunch of good ones over here at Oakley. I'm telling you, we are
It's obviously
blessed
good
with some
ones.
good ones. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
blessed with some really good ones and continue on. And we're having some good years. So it's been a great ride for us for sure, and going to continue to do that too. So, man, I
Yeah.
appreciate you guys sitting down and joining me with all this, wealth of information when it comes to taxes, because you just can't. I mean, and I encourage all our listeners to go back and listen to this over and over again, because there's so much good information in here that you and Michael shared with us on stuff that I know has got to make a difference in what they're doing. I mean, we of course promote ATBS, but whether it's ATBS or some other tax service, you need to make sure they know trucking, and you need to make sure you're putting your livelihood and your money in good hands with somebody. So we
Yeah, I
just
couldn't agree
recommend
more.
you guys. Yeah, we recommend you guys here for sure, because I mean the numbers say it all. I mean that's
We
the
appreciate
way to
that,
end
but
it.
I agree with what you said. If you're not using us, make sure whoever you're using is providing the services we've talked about today. And then the other thing I'll say, I'd encourage, even if they're not a client and have zero desire to be a client, I still encourage them to call. We've got a whole enrollment team. I encourage them to call and just talk to our enrollment team, because even if they're not a client, if your guys that aren't ATBS clients, they give us their email address, we will give them, we put out at least a couple times a week, we put out newsletters that will talk about what's happening in the business, what's changing. If there's tax law changes, like we've talked about, what those changes are. And so even if they're not using us, they take our material and hand it to whoever's doing the work for them, so that they know their people are up to date and looking at this stuff. So like I said, they don't have to be a client to get that stuff. Just call, talk to our enrollment department, and if you don't want our services, don't sign up for them. Give us your email address and let us
Yep.
provide you that information, so that you're handing it to whoever's doing that work for you. And the other thing I guess I'd say, our pricing, like I said, the cost for our service is a couple cups of coffee a week. If somebody's not sure, I mean, I'd encourage them to run a side by side for 2 or 3 months. It's not going to cost them hardly anything to do it. And they can look at what we're providing versus what they're getting today, and what they're getting is great. Don't make a change. If they're getting better information from us, make a change. At the end of the day, like I said, we don't have salespeople. We don't want anybody. We have carriers, Jeremy, come to us all the time wanting to pay for our services, because when guys are making a lot more money, turnover goes down, repossession rates go down for finance companies and banks and leasing companies. And so we always have people wanting to pay for our services, but we refuse to accept that money. We will only let a client pay for the services. We won't let somebody else pay for them, because we want them to, if they're paying for it, they have a vested interest in it, understanding it, using it, and benefiting from it. So that's just our philosophy.
That's very good philosophy. Good point too. Well, I appreciate you guys visiting with me today. Good information, man. As always with y'all at ATBS, y'all do a fantastic job, man. I really do appreciate it, and I'm sure our listeners do too.
It's been our privilege to be a partner since the beginning of the podcast, and the many years we've done business together, and look forward to a lot more years doing this together.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right,
thanks, Jeremy.
You bet, Michael. Thank you, guys. Hey, I appreciate everybody listening to the Oakley podcast. You guys, man, there's some good information right there. You need to listen to that, take it to heart, and make some good decisions about your business, because here at Oakley, we want you to be successful. If you're successful, we're successful. Appreciate y'all listening. We'll talk to you next week.